Dr. Gary Payinda, obviously friend of the show, part of the Big Hairy Network with his show The Frontline, has had some very interesting news out about him today, all over the media. Labour selects Dr. Gary Payinda to take on former Health Minister Dr. Shane Reti. Let's welcome to the show the first selection for the Labour Party outside of the current MPs. For Whangarei, it is Dr. Gary Payinda. Gary, welcome to the show, mate.
Oh, thanks for having me, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing good. We're sitting we're sitting at the feet of greatness. Apparently, you're going to change the world for us from the inside. It sounds like, is that right?
Yeah. Problems just about solved. I've been a candidate for about 8 hours now, so yep, everything should be fixed by morning.
Yeah, excellent.
Put a bow on it. Job done.
Yeah, very good. Hey, huge congratulations, Gary. Tell us why. Well, I mean, you're currently an ED doctor. You're obviously serving your community in an extraordinary way. You are actually serving the nation in what you're doing with things like the podcast and interviews and letting the rest of us know. Why the desire to kind of move to the inside of it rather than the outside looking in?
I think all of us are trying to do everything we can to push back in any way we can. So I have friends who are writing submissions complaining again about everything that David Seymour is doing and ACT to, increase voter suppression in the country, to increase the racial divide in the country. So they're busy in their way doing what they can. All of us are getting involved as best we can. I mean, look at you guys. You guys have developed essentially the left-wing media for the country, right? And you're growing by leaps and bounds. So we're all doing what we can. And if I can speak some truths and I can be honest and people can understand what I'm saying, and they want me to take a bigger voice and speak for them at a higher level, I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah, I think we're all trying to do what we can. I'm at a point in my life where my kids are out of the home; they're in uni, and I can afford to take the time to do things that I think are really important now. And yeah, you touched on emergency medicine, right? I love being an emergency doctor. It's the greatest job I could have ever had. But that lets you sort of address one problem at a time. It's really important. But the problems are multiplying so fast now. I feel like in the past 24 months, it's been like trying to push against a snowball that's just coming down the hill, getting bigger and bigger and more unstoppable. And you really have to hand it to ACT, NZ First, National. As much as I detest a lot of what they've done to the social fabric of New Zealand, they have actually been incredibly fast at steamrollering things in. Like they have achieved more, albeit bad, but they've achieved more in a shorter space of time than probably any government that's been around since I've been here. I mean, I've been here 18 years, but I think we're going back about 40 years to the sort of era of euthanasia when we talk about a government perhaps as bad as this one.
I was thinking about you in the list. I'm just going to bring up. I'm interested in your thoughts around what are you trying to achieve here when it comes to going up against Shane Reti, because he has a significant margin in Whangarei based on the last election. He got more than double the second place getter last time. Is your desire to take him out and to win Whangarei? Is your desire as a doctor to be able to sit in front of him at a debate and talk about Dr. Cigaretti? Is your desire to make noise? Like, what's the end game? That sounds like the last question of the interview, but what is the end game? What are you trying to achieve with this?
Let's turn that around and just say, what would anyone want to achieve out of government? I want to see a government that's responsive to the needs of people, and I'm most concerned about the people, sort of the median New Zealander, the one who's got an hourly wage that's like $3 to $5 above minimum wage, right? That's 2.5 million New Zealanders that are in that rough category, right? It's the bottom, let's say 50% of workers are barely scraping by, yet they're the ones keeping the country going. And what I want to see is a government, any government, that will take us back to what labor stood for in the 40s, which was
Yes.
pension schemes, national health care, a nation that looks after its own, that ensures that when you become a pensioner, that doesn't condemn you to poverty. Um, Essentially, everything that's the opposite of the current government right now is what I want to achieve, and I want to help the party that I think can achieve that. And whether we'll get there, I obviously don't know. Whether I'm up to the task, I don't know. But one has to push back when one sees injustice. When you see things that are blatantly wrong, like beneficiaries' benefits being cut while we're giving $2.9 billion to landlords, that's unethical. One only has to look at the current government and just look at the number of ex-lobbyists that are in there, right? One's an
Yeah.
ex-tobacco lobbyist, high up. I don't know what position he is, 2 or 3. You've got a ex-gun lobbyist in charge of gun policy. This is stuff that never should have happened. It's just wild. It's just out the gate. But that's the world we're living in. A banker was put in charge of the health ministry. of of course we're going to get the results we're seeing, if that's the sort of people and the sort of mindset. We got a mercenary in charge of the police. uh, well, sorry, ex-mercenary. I need to be quite careful, I guess. Ex-tobacco lobbyist. uh, yeah, it's just disappointing on every level. And you ask me, like, oh, why would I want to give up emergency medicine if I love it? And I do love it. um, every week, roughly, there's a new outrage. It might be like trying to degrade workers' rights. Um, it, it could be taking what $13 billion away from low wage earning women. I mean, you just thing after thing after thing is just absolutely outrageous. And someone's got to do something. And if I can help do that something, if I can speak up, I want to do that. Did that answer your
Chewie.
question?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it does. It does. It gives us lots of information. Chewie, I'll throw to you in a sec. I just want to ask one clarifying question. Because when you talk about Labor going back to what it was originally founded on, are you also suggesting that Labor is missing the mark a bit at the moment? Because if they're going to need to go back, does that mean that they're focusing on the wrong things now?
We don't live in 1939 anymore. So talking about going back, I mean, I revere what Michael Joseph Savage achieved. That
Yep.
was a little bit of a different world than we're living in right now. So I've got to be realistic about what we can achieve, what the
Yep.
population has been told is achievable. You have to remember our media, with the exception of sort of small places like this one. Media is very corporatized, very much bought up by mega, corporates. And if you think we can make, great changes, we need to take the people along with us on that journey. And do I think that Chris Hipkins, and the team he's assembled can do that? Yes, absolutely. He's a highly ethical, good guy, like a humane and decent and thoughtful man. The kind of person you would want. Like, he's not going to be partisan. I mean, I'm ready to fight, right? I'm ready to go. But he's the kind of thoughtful, caring person that you want in charge, you want in the top seat. Um, and yeah, I think there's a role for all of us. I do think the government will get there. I mean, they've put out, I mean, I know as much as you, right? They've put out a couple nascent policies. What are they? A sovereign wealth fund that will reinvest money into New Zealand businesses and take us away from being just a real estate economy, right? A bloated Ponzi scheme of a real estate situation. which is, again, what Luxon wants to keep going, right? Juice up real estate prices and leave us with a country where housing is completely unaffordable for anyone of modest means, let alone our youth who are leaving in droves. So yeah, do I think labor is the vehicle to get us there? Yes. Do I think there's a panacea or some like all problems will be fixed? No. There's endemic problems, but look at the CGT thing. We are one of the only developed countries on earth that doesn't have a capital gains tax. That's an abomination. It's a scam that's been perpetrated on and on for decades. We have the chance to end that and directly tie it to patient well-being. 90% of people will have their primary care needs covered for free with those 3 GP visits.
That's
That's
interesting.
huge. I mean, it may
That's
not seem
interesting.
huge to you, but it's huge to me.
No, what's interesting about that, which makes it feel huge, is the 90%, which I hadn't heard before. Also about the CGT, it seems to be working. Latest polls that are coming out, and not that we read everything into the polls, but it seems that the people, as much as Luxon is saying, nope, it's not that. Several people seem to like the concept, at least. Chewie, you should jump in, sir.
I had one immediate thought about the fact that you're going directly up against Dr. Reti is you have yourself very much on the front line as an emergency doctor versus someone that is a doctor but is probably more focused on the private health investments that he has, the private health hospitals that he has shares in. I think there can not be a more clear delineation between two people going head to head in that electorate, and I cannot wait to see it. And I will be screaming from the sidelines, Dr. Gary from the top rope with a steel bedpan. It'll be amazing. I wish you all the best.
A full steel bedpan, Chewie, a full one.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Chewie. Maybe that could be. We could have memorabilia that's branded by BHN for us, a steel bedpan that says, we hope for something better than what we currently have.
On the inside, you could have it laser etched with, "It gets worse."
He's currently, I'm just looking at the list right now, based on the last election, he's number 9. Reti's 9 on the list. Do you think he gives a crap about Whangarei, about winning it? Because, there's a chance that he doesn't want to go up against you. Do you think you'll actually get him to a debate in the Whangarei electorate, or do you think he'll just, I'll take my list vote and not really worry about it? Any thoughts?
To be honest with you, Pat, I do not care. I'm happy to debate him in the aisles of Pack and Save. I'm ready to do this on a stage somewhere. I do not care. He is largely irrelevant to me because he's largely irrelevant to the people of Northland who needed him.
Yes.
He is a gentleman that should have been the shining hope of Northlanders, right? He's a GP, doctor. He's Maori. He's Tangata Whenua. He was born here in Northland. He should have been the greatest advocate for Maori health and the health of poor people and the health of the working class that this region had ever seen. And on each one of those accounts, he is the greatest, most dismal disappointment that this region has seen. He has let down his GP brethren, doctors in general, really don't have any time for him, nor nurses, nor healthcare workers in general. I would challenge you, do a survey. I'd love to see it. Put it out there. Find me the healthcare worker in the system, in the public system, that thinks he has done even a remotely acceptable job. So he's let doctors down. He's let patients down. He's let his own Maori people down, right? This is the man who, as health minister, destroyed the Maori Health Authority, right? No compunction, no regret. This is a man who got rid of the anti-smoking laws that could have saved Northlanders' lives, Maori lives. He got rid of all 3 aspects of the anti-smoking laws, the smoke-free laws, and then had the temerity to give the tobacco companies $216 million to help them sell more heated tobacco products. He's not even on my radar as an ex-health minister, as a politician, as a doctor. To me, he is none of those things. He is as irrelevant to me as he has proven to his constituents. So yeah, I'm more than happy to chat with him. He's always been an honorable man in terms of having good manners, and he's always a civil man. So I have to respect that. But I feel these things strongly, and it is time that this government be held to account for the bad things it's done to average New Zealanders. And I intend to do that with every breath, every day of the next 13 months.
What does it mean for you as a practicing doctor and you as a Labor candidate? Is there any parts of those that kind of, I don't mean conflict with you personally, but do you have anything now you need to think about? Like, you've got the Labor shirt on now. I'm assuming that's not going to be worn to work. How does that work in the run up for the next 13, 12, 11 months?
Yeah. So to be clear, nothing I do politically ever will impact my interaction with a patient in ED. That will never happen. I will not be wearing pins or what have you. Like, that relationship is sacrosanct and always will be to me. But outside of work, in my personal capacity, talking to you, just as honestly as I would talk to anybody on the street, I will not hold back. I will tell the truth. I will advocate for patients. I will advocate for Whangarei. I will advocate for Northland. And I mean, that's all I've tried to do, and that will continue. Whether that has professional repercussions remains to be seen. It's been a very hard time to be a public healthcare worker under this government, speaking out on behalf of nurses, on patients and doctors and healthcare in general. So yeah, I'm not going to go into it here in any detail, Pat.
Yep.
Yeah, I've said enough.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's getting worse. It's getting harder, and we'll leave it at that. But I am uncowed and unwavering, at least at this point. We'll see what happens in the future.
I've just got this image for some merch. Actually, I have to talk to Emily. You know, the Superman image where he comes out and he's pulling his tie off and there's an S underneath there. Do one with Gary. He's got out of the hospital, so he's in the car park now. He's going like this, and he's taking his doctor's thing off, and there's a Labor underneath it, like a superhero type thing. Gary, that's the way to do it. You're not, nobody knows until they need to know, and then they know. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any have any pretensions to be a superhero. Yeah, no, it's a cool imagery. Not as cool as you two little guys looking like gnomes on the hoodie. That's really cute. But no, I'm cool with the merch for now. This will be my T-shirt for the next 13 months. And I'm happy to
you
rep it.
You said to us before we started, you've been getting advice all day. What's the best piece of advice you've heard today for the next 12 months?
I won't say it's a piece of advice, but the remarkable thing is the amount of support I've gotten. Radio New Zealand did an article, and I couldn't believe that within hours there was like 430 comments. And I looked through some of them, and it was unbelievable. Like, it almost brought a tear to my eye to see some of the comments that were out there. I've treated something like 20,000 people with my own hands over the past 18 years in Northland. I've been on the rescue helicopter for a few years. I've been doing my work with, surf lifesaving for probably a decade now. Like, people know me, and they're expressing support that goes in excess of anything I could have hoped for. People saying that they'll help handing out stuff and putting up signs, and we're still a year away. but I've got people that want to get involved now because they understand that we cannot afford to let this government have another 3 years, because that's when they start absolutely cementing in um, some of these horrifically bad policies. We've got to get in there and fix the damage they've done while it's still fixable. Give you a simple, easy to understand example. You put millions or hundreds of millions out into the private sector. You throw taxpayer money, your and my taxpayer money, out into the private sector. Private hospitals are doubling in size and adding MRIs and building surgical centers and radiology groups and telehealth groups. It is a feeding frenzy among for-profit healthcare right now. That lures out the public healthcare staff, the theater nurses, the doctors, the surgeons, endoscopists, you name it, drives them out of the public system into the private. It's not easy to get those people back. You can't undo quickly the kind of damage that David Seymour and Chris Luxon and Chris Bishop and Simeon Brown have done over the past 24 months. It's generational stuff. Think of the number of people we're losing every like 10 minutes or something. We're losing a New Zealand citizen abroad. These people, many of them won't come back, and our nation will be the poorer for it. So yeah, I have great hopes of what we can do, but that's later. Like, what we need to do now is literally just rally people for an overwhelming show of force, that we understand that there's hope out there. We can do better than this. That this government has appealed to our basest instincts, sought to divide us along racial lines, sought to enrich the already wealthy to an absurd extent, and made life harder, so much harder for people like my patients, the people of Northland. Yeah, so I have hope for the future, but I'm not starry-eyed. I'm not a child.
I've got one more question, but Chewie, you got anything else to wrap up with?
I just want to say, if you bring in that level of authenticity all the way to the finishing line, that's unstoppable. It's the direct difference between the government ministers that we have now with what we could have. It's that fire. Like, they don't have an answer for authenticity, and I think that's why when I read through the comments on the RNZ article that you're talking about, that's what comes through, is people are sick of fakeness.
Well, you only have to look as far as the health minister. This is a young man who has probably only had 2 to 3 years of real life work experience, period. He graduated uni, became a commercial banker for a few years, and then was handpicked to go into politics, where he's been ever since. The idea that this is a government of excellence or even competence, that they are good money managers and good businessmen, this is a government of I need to not be pejorative. I'll stop myself there. No, we don't have the best people in the job. And I'm not saying I'm the best. I've got tons of foibles, tons of problems, but we do need some degree of people who know what they're doing. But I don't even mind that. I would just take someone that is looking out for the healthcare assistants, the teachers' aides. I think if you take care of those people, the ones who are struggling right now, the whole country gets better. When we provide them with dental care, with health care, when we look after their children and make sure they have good schools, whole country benefits. The rich get richer, the poor are better taken care of, and we have a more productive society. So that's what I care about. And that's what I've always cared about. And that's what I'm going to continue caring about, no matter the outcome of an election.
Last question, kind of from me. It's a bit more of a procedural one. Do you know anything about you and a list? Like, are you going to be on the list for Labor? Do you know when they release the list, or is that not even a conversation yet?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't worry about things that I can't control or that I can have no influence on. This is where my energy goes, is in the stuff that I'm telling you about and taking care of patients. I don't know about the machinery of how the list process will work. You need to be known, you need to be respected. And I would like to think that I've got both of those things. People know who I am, and I've at least got a modicum of respect from the work I've done and from the people that work with me every day who know me best. So I go open up Facebook, see what the comments are, and I think you'll get an idea of who I am and who the people are that support me. So yeah, I've got no worries about what place on a list I will be. I have worries about whether the people of Northland um, will be looked after, or whether we uh, get broken and divided and attack each other and end up losing,
Mm.
and the same people are allowed to cement in the destruction of what I consider the social fabric of New Zealand.
Congratulations, Gary. With you in your Labour top there, Labour t-shirt there, do you want to put on your podcaster's hat for just a second and tell us about what we released today? You see there was a bit of an exclusive with Craig that we put out there today. Do you want to tell the people about it? It is available now, but do you want to tell people about it?
Yeah, so I think this one's pretty important. So Craig Rennie is a Council of Trade Unions chief economist. So he's a budget guy. He loves budgets. He looks at budgets for fun. He's also incredibly committed to his job, I think in a similar way that I have been committed to mine. He loves it thoroughly and intensely. And he was looking through some of the lines that Nicola Willis signed off on, like some budgetary document that I guess on a quarterly basis or something gets updated. And it's not a projection. It's not for the future. It's for what has already happened, and it's been signed off by the finance minister. And he found a line in there that talks about $500 million. So that's $500 million that was not spent, that was in the Health New Zealand budget, that was apparently, he says, budgeted for health personnel, like nurses that we desperately need. And apparently, again, Nicola Willis's signature is on this document. Apparently, that $500 million, if it doesn't get spent to pay for the nurses that we so desperately need, it gets recycled into the general account, the general budget.
Yep.
And so, it can go for things like the $216 million for the tobacco companies that we're giving them of taxpayer dollars, or the $300 million for oil and gas exploration, or the $2.9 billion that we continue to give to landlords. And that $500 million can't be clawed back. It's gone. It's being used for these other purposes, and
Wow.
like it just, I don't know what, like, it blew my mind. Like I just asked him this a few times on the podcast. You really, like, watch it, watch it. He basically is saying that $500 million could have been used for personnel, for nurses, for doctors, and wasn't. And then it begs the question of why
Holy
and
shit.
how
Yeah.
and who knew about this, and why did Ms. Willis allow this to happen, and why wasn't the money spent on healthcare when we, again, desperately need it in the public sector? And I don't have those answers. You got to watch the podcast. It's quite mind blowing. And we'll see what the response is. The response that I fear the most will be that, Ms. Willis may say, that was Health New Zealand's problem. They didn't spend the money. It is what it is. They didn't get around to it. It got used somewhere else. Again, she knew about it, signed off on it. So I would love, if maybe you guys can ask her to come on the show.
Oh, I'd love to.
To just explain it. Maybe it's an error. Maybe it's completely wrong. Maybe Maybe it's some sort of accounting trick or thing, but she needs to speak to it, because if it is true, oh yeah, it's going to be bad. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I reserve judgment.
And of course, that's on all the Big Hairy Network sites, on the Facebook page, on the YouTube channel, and the Frontline has its own podcast channel on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just before you go, Gary, a couple of people in the chat want you to know Dr. Gary versus Dr. Shane fight night when? So there's the first one. Peter
Bring
also
it any night you want. You host the venue. I'll be there.
Well, we're just starting to talk about next year, Gary, literally at the moment. And, if we can get together what we're trying to do, there could well be invites going out to health ministers, past, present, and future, to talk to us about health at a public event. So we'll keep that in mind. Peter says, Gary's got fire in the belly. I like that. And Arvid says, you're a doctor. Of course, I'm assuming that's what that means. OFC, you are a hero, Gary. Guess you're saying the superhero tag. A lot of people think that as well, that you're doing God's work, my friend.
Never raise someone up to be a hero. You'll only be let down. Let's just be realistic. I don't want to be a hero. I don't want to change the world. I want people in Northland to have safe, warm, dry homes. I want them to have safe jobs with a decent minimum wage. I want them to have healthcare and dental care. And I just want them to be able to lead decent lives and educate their kids. That's it. That's enough.
Gary, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure. Love hanging out. Congratulations on all the good work in the podcast at the moment, and best of luck with the next 12 months. Obviously, we'll stay in touch and we'll keep an eye.
Thanks for having me. And as always, thank you for what you do, because it lends an important voice that you don't hear in the rest of corporate, for-profit, billionaire-owned media. So it's really important. I want to support you guys in everything you do. And I wish you much continued success, Pat and Chewie.
Excellent, Gary. We'll talk to you soon, eh? Thanks for joining us.
See you, man. See you guys.
All the best.
Cheers.